Auggie and Me, the Pluto chapter, 8:22 p.m. As soon as Dad wheeled Mom into our house, I plopped down on the sofa of the TV with my half-finished McDonald's Happy Meal. I clicked on the TV with the remote. "Wait," said Dad, shaking the umbrella. "I thought you had homework to do." "I just want to watch the rest of The Amazing Race while I eat," I answered. "I'll do my homework when it's over." "Is it okay for him to do that?" Dad asked Mom. "It's almost over anyway, Mommy," I said to Mom. "Please?" "So long as you start right after the show's over," she answered. But I knew she wasn't paying attention. She looked up at the staircase, shaking her head slowly. "How am I going to do this, Angus?" she said to Dad. She looked really tired. "That's what I'm here for," Dad answered. He turned her wheelchair around towards him, reached under her, wrapped his other arm around her back, and lifted her out of her wheelchair. This made Mom scream in a giggly sort of way. "Wow, Dad, you're strong," I said, popping a French fry in my mouth as I watched them. "You guys should be on The Amazing Race. They're always having divorced couples." Dad started climbing the staircase with Mom in his arms. They were both laughing as they bumped into the railing, and the walls were on the way up. It was nice seeing them like this. Last time we were all together, they were screaming at each other. I turned around and watched the rest of the show. Just as Phil, the host, was telling the last couple to arrive at the pit stop that they had been eliminated, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Elijah. "Yo, Chris. So me and the guys decided we're dropping out of after-school rock band. We're starting our own band. We're playing Seven Nation Army on Wednesday." I reread the text. My mouth was literally hanging open. Dropping out of the band? Could they do that? John would go ballistic when none of them showed up at band practice tomorrow. And what did that mean for the after-school rock band? Would it just be me and John playing the final countdown? That would be awful. Another text came through. "Do you want to join our band? We want you to join, but absolutely not John. He sucks. We're practicing at my place tomorrow after school. Bring your guitar." Dad came downstairs. "Time for homework, Chris," he said, quietly. Then he saw my face. "What's the matter?" "Nothing," I said, clicking off the phone. I was kind of in a state of shock. "They want me in their band?" "I just remembered I need to practice for the spring concert." "Okay, but it needs to be quiet," answered Dad. "Mom is out like a light, and we have to let her rest, okay? Don't make a lot of noise going up the steps. I'm in the guest room if you need anything." "Wait, you're staying here?" I asked. "For a few days," he answered, "until your mom can get around herself." He started walking back upstairs with the crutches they had given Mom at the hospital. "Can you print out the chords for Seven Nation Army for me? I have to learn them by tomorrow." "Sure," he said at the top of the stairs. "But remember, keep it down." North River Heights. Our new house is much bigger than our old house in North River Heights. Our old house was actually a brownstone, and we lived on the first floor. We only had one bathroom and a tiny yard. But I loved our apartment. I loved our block. I missed being able to walk everywhere. I even missed the ginkgo trees. If you don't know what ginkgo trees are, they're trees that drop these little squishy nuts that smell like dog poop mixed with cat pee, mixed with some toxic waste when you step on them. Auggie used to say they smelled like orc vomit, which I thought was funny. Anyway, I missed everything about our old neighborhood, even the ginkgo trees. When we lived in North River Heights, Mom owned a little floral shop on Amesford Avenue called Earth, Laughs, and Flowers. She worked really long hours, which is why they hired Lourdes to babysit me. That was another thing I missed. Lourdes. I missed her empanadas. I missed how she used to call me Pappy. But we didn't need Lourdes. After we moved to Bridgeport, because Mom had sold her floral shop and no longer worked full-time. Now Mom picks me up from school on Mondays through Wednesdays. On Thursday nights, she picks me up from John's house and drops me off at Dad's place, which is where I stay until Sunday. When we lived in North River Heights, Dad was usually home by 7. Now he can't get home before 9 p.m. because of the long commute from the city. Originally, the plan was that was only going to be temporary, because he was going to be transferred to a Connecticut office. But it's been 3 years, and he still has his old job in Manhattan. Mom and Dad used to argue about that a lot. On Fridays, Dad leaves work early so he can pick me up from school. We usually order Chinese food for dinner, jam a little on our guitars, and watch a movie. Mom gets annoyed with Dad that he doesn't make me do my homework over the weekend when I'm with him. So by the time I get back home Sunday night, I'm always kind of grumpy, so I scramble to finish my homework with her. This weekend, for instance, I should have been studying for my math test, but Dad and I went bowling, and I just never got around to it. My bad. I got used to the new house in Bridgeport, though. My new friends, Luke the hamster that's not a dog, but what I miss the most about North River Heights is my parents seemed together then. Dad moved out of our house last summer. My parents had been fighting a lot before that, but I don't know why he moved out over the summer. Just that one day, out of nowhere, they told me that they were separating. They needed some time apart to figure out what they had wanted to if they wanted to continue living together. They told me that this had nothing to do with me, and they would both go on loving me and seeing as much as before. They said they still loved each other, but that sometimes marriages are like friendships that get tested and people have to work through things. Good friendships are worth a little extra effort, I remember saying to them. I don't think Mom even remembered that she's the one who once told me that. 9:56 p.m. I listened to Seven Nation Army while I did my homework. I also tried not to think too much about how John would react tomorrow when I told him that I was joining the other band. I mean, I didn't think I really had a choice. If I stayed in the after-school rock band, it'd just be me and John playing the final countdown at the spring concert, with Mr. B playing the drums, and we'd look like the world's biggest dweebs. We were not just not good enough to play by ourselves. I remembered how Harry was trying not to laugh when John played the guitar solo today. If it was just the two of us up there, all the kids in the audience would be trying not to laugh. What I couldn't figure out was what John would do when he found out. Any sane person would just forget about playing in the spring concert on Wednesday at all. But knowing John, I could pretty much bet that he would go ahead and play the final countdown. He didn't care about making a fool of himself that way. I could picture him singing his heart out, strumming the guitar with Mr. Bowles rocking out behind him on the keyboards. Ladies and gentlemen, the after-school rock band. Just the thought of it made me cringe for him. He would never live that down. It was hard to concentrate on my homework, so it took me a lot longer than I thought it would. I didn't even start studying for the math test until almost 10. That's when I remembered that I was totally screwed in math. I waited to the last minute to study, and I didn't understand any of it. Dad was in bed working on his laptop when I opened the door to the guest room. I was holding my ridiculously heavy 5th grade math textbooks in my hands. Hey, Dad. You're not in bed yet? He asked, looking at me over his new glasses. I need some help studying for my math test. He glanced over at the clock. Kind of late to be discovering this, no? I had so much homework, I answered, and then I had to learn a new song for the spring concert, which is the day after tomorrow. There's just so much going on, Dad. He nodded. Then he put his laptop down and patted the bed for me to sit next to him, which I did. I turned to page 151. So, I'm having trouble with word problems. Oh, well, great. I'm great at word problems, he answered, smiling. Lay it on me. I started reading from the textbook. Jill wants to buy honey at an outdoor market. One vendor is selling a 26-ounce jar for $3.12. Another vendor is selling a 16-ounce jar for $2.40. Which is the better deal, and how much money per ounce will Jill save by choosing it? I put the textbook down and looked at Dad, who looked at me blankly. Okay, he said, scratching his ear. So that was 26 ounces for what again? I'm going to need a piece of paper. Pass me the notebook over there. He reached over to the other side of the bed and passed him his notebook. He started scribbling in it. Okay, so, he said, turning his notebook around for me to look at his scribbled numbers. So first you want to divide the numbers to figure out what the cost is per ounce. Then you want to... Wait, I said, shaking my head. That's the part I don't get. When do you know you have to divide? What do you need to do? How do you know? He looked down at the scribbles on his notebook again, as if the answers were there. Let me see the question, he said, pushing his reading glasses back up his nose and looking at where I pointed in the book. Okay, well, you have to know how to divide because, you want to figure out the price per ounce because it says so right here. He pointed to the problem. I looked quickly at where he pointed, but shook my head. I don't get it. Well, look, Chris, right there. It asks how much the cost per ounce is. I shook my head again. I don't get it, I said loudly. I hate this. I suck at this. No, you don't, Chris, he answered calmly. You just have to take a deep breath and... No, you don't understand. I don't get this at all, which is why I'm trying to explain it to you. Can I ask Mom? He took his glasses off and rubbed his eyes with his wrist. Chris, she's asleep. We should just let her get rest tonight. He answered slowly. I'm sure we can figure this out ourselves. I started poking my knuckles into my eyes, so he pulled my hands down off my face gently. Why don't you call one of your friends at school? How about John? He's a fourth grader, I said impatiently. Okay, well, someone else. No, I shook my head. There's no one I can call. I'm not friends with anyone like that this year. I mean, my friends aren't in the same math class I'm in. And I don't know the kids in this math class that well. Then call your other friends, Chris, I said, reaching over. He said, reaching over for his cell phone. What about Elijah and those guys in the band? I'm sure they've all taken that class. No, Dad. Ugh. I covered my face with my hands. I'm totally going to fail this test. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Okay, calm down, he said. What about Auggie? He's kind of a math whiz, isn't he? Never mind, I said, shaking my head. I took the textbook from him. I'll figure it out. Christopher, he said. It's fine, Dad, I said, getting up. I'll just figure it out, or I'll text someone. It's fine. Just like that? It's fine, Dad, thanks. I closed the textbook and got up. I'm sorry I couldn't help you, he answered, and for a second I felt sorry for him. He sounded a little defeated. I mean, I think we can figure it out together if you give me another chance. No, it's okay, I answered, walking toward the door. Good night, Chris. Good night, Dad. I went to my room and sat at my desk, and opened the textbook to page 151 again. I tried rereading the word problem, but all I could hear in my head were the words to 7 Nation Army, and those made no sense to me either. No matter how hard I stared at the problem, I just couldn't think of what to do.